marches me to the street. It's an empty dance and so incomplete. The hollow voices whisper the cry farther down the line. There's a reason why. You tried before, but you can't buy it. No matter what you do. The darker side of the night burns like a fire for the wasted life. And there's no way you can.
Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to Adelin's Horror World. My name is Adelin, of course you guys already know that. So welcome back to another review. Sorry I did not post a review last week. I was spending Thanksgiving with my family and I would have rather done that than do a YouTube video and just waste my time. But no, I'm not wasting my time. I'm back and we're gonna do yet another review and continuing on with this franchise. Yeah, because there's like a million more of these darn movies to go. So, we've arrived at this point, guys. Today, yeah, this franchise just doesn't want to end. We're reviewing Friday the 13th, Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. Oh, I'm sorry. I couldn't do it. I cannot call this movie Jason Takes Manhattan because Jason isn't actually in Manhattan until the last 15 minutes, so I'm not calling it that. I'm sorry. So Friday the 13th, Part 8, Jason Takes a Cruise. I can't. So Friday the 13th, Part 8, Jason Takes a Cruise Ship to Manhattan, stars Jensen, Dagget, Scott Reeves, Kane, Hodder as Jason, and is directed by Hedden. Yes, this is the infamous movie where the producers at Paramount decided, let's get Jason out of Camp Crystal Lake and put him somewhere else and do something new. And we certainly got that in the last half hour of the movie. So the title basically lied to us. That's why I cannot call it Jason Takes Manhattan. It's Jason Takes a Cruise Ship, and I don't care. Sue me. Mass murderer Jason Voorhees is resurrected from the bottom of Crystal Lake. After he kills a passing boat's occupants, he stows away on a cruise ship filled with a high school graduating class bound for New York City. Biology teacher Charles McCulloch is on board with his niece Rennie, who has visions of Jason drowning as a child. They escape his bloody shipboard rampage, but when Rennie and Charles reach Manhattan, Jason is close by. So yes, this was definitely the point in the franchise where Paramount was running out of ideas, and so they decided, let's get Jason out of Crystal Lake. I mean, that Crystal Lake's getting kind of old, isn't it? So they were like, why not put him in New York? So they hired on Hedden, who had directed some episodes of the Friday the 13th TV series, which I still haven't seen, but I've heard it's pretty good. It has nothing to do with Jason. It's like a anthology show, I think. Let me know. I've heard it's quite good, though. It's like a really old show. It no longer airs, which is unfortunate. But it has some actors from the Friday the 13th movies, such as John D. LeMay, who would end up being in Jason Goes to Hell, but we'll get to that movie later. And so, yeah, this was Hedden's very first time directing a feature film. Unfortunately, it shows. But I'll say this movie's okay. I remember my original review that's no longer on the channel where I despised this movie and saw it as the worst one. I no longer see it as the worst, but it's definitely one of the weaker installments. I think it's fine, and there are things I genuinely like about this movie, but it's just, I can't really love this movie. I know some of my subscribers are lovers of this movie. They love this movie, but I'm just not one of them. I'm so sorry, but hey, if you love the movie, that's completely fine. But let's get into the positives I have for Jason Takes a Cruise Ship to Manhattan. First, the concept of Jason being in New York is actually really good. I actually like the idea of Jason being in a big city, even if it doesn't make sense because these people literally have nothing to do with Crystal Lake, but yada yada yada. It's just Jason killing people. So I honestly don't mind the concept. It's just the execution that I'm not a fan of. But the idea was pretty good, and there were so many ideas that Hedden had for this movie. Like Jason diving off at the top of the Statue of Liberty. I would love to see that. Jason being in Madison Square Garden. Jason on the Brooklyn Bridge. There were so many, but as we'll get onto later with my negatives, the budget would not allow that. That's very unfortunate.
Hey guys, editing Adeline here in the future. I never dived into that in my negatives. The budget and how Jason is barely in New York. Yeah, the movie's budget was around $5 to $5.5 million, and it ended up being the lowest grossing of the franchise. I wonder why. But yeah, the budget would only allow Paramount to film in New York for 2 days. So the rest of it, they filmed it in Vancouver, British Columbia, and not in New York. It shows. So, yep, I just had to say that. I didn't actually get into that in the video, so I wanted to go ahead and point that out. So, anyway, back to the review.
Next, the score is, dare I say, unique. It's not great, but it's unlike anything I've heard in a Friday movie. Harry Manfredini did not do this movie at all. Fred Mullen did an entirely original score. He did the score for Part 7, even though it recycled a lot of music from the past movies by Harry Manfredini. But this is entirely original music. I think some of it's good, but some of it really does not fit Friday the 13th. It's like, it's almost like a Nightmare on Elm Street in a way. Yeah, this movie takes a lot of elements from a Nightmare on Elm Street too, but yeah, I mean, not the second one, I mean the original. But yeah, I do think the score is pretty good. I don't think it's fantastic. I don't think it's some of the best of the entire franchise, but I think it's pretty good, so I'll give it that. Next, I actually really like the cinematography of this movie. On my most recent rewatch, if you were able to see my live streams marathoning all 12 movies before YouTube took them down thanks to copyright, I think I pointed this out. I think this movie is shot really well. It has really unique camera direction, and you can tell Rob Hedden really did have a vision. He actually had a vision, and he delivered it quite nicely with the cinematographer of the film. Cannot remember his name or her name, whatever. But I think this movie is shot really well. There's really nice shots. It's not like this kind of steady cam. It's really subtle, but also really unique for this franchise. It's never really been done like this, and I am actually on board with it, so I like it. Next, Charles McCulloch's actor, Peter Mark Richmond, rest in peace, he's very good in this movie. He's the only good actor in this movie, but I really like him as Charles, because he is so good at playing an unlikable prick. He's just really good at it. Like, he's just like, I'm in charge here. I am the villain of the movie. He's not the actual villain, but you know what I'm talking about. He's just like, I am the mean person of this movie. I am a suit. Ha 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 ha. Like, that's him the whole movie. I like it. And he treats Rennie like crap, but it's like a cartoonish level that I honestly kind of love it. But there are actually moments where I really hate him. But there's other moments where I'm just like, I can't help but love the guy because he is so cartoonishly evil at times, and it's really funny. And his innate skepticism of Jason being real makes it even funnier. So I'll give Peter that. I'll give him that. He was really good in this movie. It really sucks that we lost him a few years ago. Rest in peace. And finally, of the terrible kills that we get in this movie, there is one kill in this movie that I genuinely love. Everybody knows it's Julius's death. Need I say more? Moving on. We're gonna move straight into the negatives because I don't really have mixed elements. It's just straight negatives from here on out. This is not a really good movie. It's just fine, I guess. It's okay, but there's so much wrong with this darn movie. I can't even wrap my head around it. So let's start out with the negatives. Next, besides Peter Mark Richmond, every single actor in this movie is atrocious. They all give awful performances. Yes, even Kelly Hu, and I really like her as an actress. I think she got better in later films, but in this film, her first movie, she's not that good. And even Jensen Dagget, who I met, by the way, sort of, I don't really think she's that good in this movie, but I'm not going to blame her, and I'm not going to blame the other actors. And I won't really blame Rob Hedden because this was his very first movie, so he didn't really direct his actors really well. At least I don't think so. Yeah, I think he just wanted to get it done and move on because he had never directed a Jason movie before. It shows. And he clearly did not watch the other movies. It shows, but I don't know. None of the actors even, it's like they didn't even try. And when they do try to be scared, it's just like, that's them trying to be scared. Yeah, you might want to put a little more effort into that performance, please. Alrighty, one of my bigger negatives of the film, the continuity is all over the place. No. There is no continuity in this movie. They get everything wrong about this movie. Okay, this is one of my biggest nitpicks with this movie. I'm going to go on a rant here for a second. We're going to talk about the opening of the movie with Jim and Susie. Yes, I remember their names. It's because I'm writing a novelization of the movie. So I have to remember their names. So Jim tells Susie the story of Jason and the urban legend of Jason. First off, how on earth does she not know this legend? I actually explained that in my novelization, how she is not initially from Crystal Lake. She moved there like the year prior and initially did not know a thing about it. That makes more sense in the novel. But in the movie, without the context of my novel, it doesn't make sense. How does she not know about Jason? How does she not know about the dozens of murders that have happened in Crystal Lake? How does she not know? Okay, Jim's story is all over the place. The continuity is so all over the place. Okay, he says that Jason drowned in Crystal Lake 30 years ago. If the movie took place in 1989, that would make sense. Because in 1989, Jason would have drowned 32 years ago. But in the timeline on the internet that is all over the place, it said that Jason Takes Manhattan takes place in 1998 or 1999. Maybe even 1997, but I think that's when the New Blood happened. So 1998. Jason would have drowned 41 years ago, not 30. Not 30. I know it's supposed to take place in 1998, but everybody's wearing 80s clothes and it's really 80s. But in the timeline, it takes place in 98. He drowned 41 years ago, not 32, 41 years ago. Get it right, Jim. All right. And then he says, a bunch of years went by, everyone forgot about the drowning. No. And then he's like, and that's when the murder started happening. No, Pamela Voorhees killed Barry and Claudette literally the next year. She literally killed them the following year. A bunch of years did not go by. A year went by, and she killed 2 people. I don't understand. I don't get it. So there's one problem. Also, since when did Crystal Lake connect to the Atlantic Ocean? Even though it was obviously filmed in the Pacific Northwest and not the Atlantic, how does Crystal Lake suddenly connect to the Atlantic Ocean? If you actually look on a map and you look at where the original Friday the 13th movie was filmed with that lake, in no way does it connect to the ocean. In no way. It does not connect to the freaking ocean. It doesn't make sense. I can't with this movie. The writing is so bad. And Rob Hedden also wrote the script. It's not good. It's not good. I don't understand. You could have fixed this. You could have simply fixed this to just have the students travel to a place near the Atlantic and then board the ship to Manhattan. You could have just done that, but no, Crystal Lake suddenly connects to the ocean. Ooh. And that's how Jason gets on the ship. Yeah, I'm calling bullcrap on that one. Next, besides Julius's death, all of the kills suck in this movie. I'm blaming the MPAA for this one, but I will also sort of blame the studio because Paramount knew that it was going to get cut down because of the gore. So they didn't even try to do gory deaths. You could have at least put just a little bit of effort into them, but no. All the kills are bloodless. I think this movie got the worst treatment of the entire franchise when it comes to cutting down the death scenes. I think this one got the worst. Because Paramount they knew they were going to get an X rating. So they're like, let's not even try to do cool death scenes. Except for Julius's, I guess. And yet the MPAA still cut some of the deaths down, even though some of them didn't even have blood in them. They still kept going, no, cut it out, or you're getting an X rating, cut it out. That's all they did. And I don't even know how many times they had to resubmit this movie in order to get an R rating. But dear God, like, it makes me mad. The MPAA just makes me mad sometimes with this franchise. Luckily, in the next movie, they wouldn't be so harsh on it, but here and Part 7, oh boy, they really grind my gears. Next, the ending of the film. The ending is awful. The ending is so stupid and confusing that it both makes me laugh hysterically and makes me angry. So, spoiler alert, I guess, but you guys probably already know this darn ending. Rennie and Sean are chased into the sewers by Jason. Apparently, the sewers floods out with toxic waste every night at midnight in New York City, even though that has never happened in a single sewer ever. Look it up. So Jason follows them, kills the worker that is trying to help them to safety. Jason chases Rennie, pulls off his mask after getting toxic waste on him, and he looks ridiculous. We'll get to that later. And then chases her and Sean up this ladder. And I am not kidding. Toxic waste is flooding towards them. Jason speaks. If you look closely, when it's just like, "Mommy, don't let me drown, Mommy," you could see his mouth moving, so he speaks. Which is a first for this series. You guys thought it was dumb and Jason Goes to Hell. It's just as dumb here because it happens here too. Then he vomits up whatever the heck that is, probably lake water or ocean water, take your pick. Then he gets flooded by toxic waste. I think the original idea was just he was going to completely disintegrate and this would have been the final movie, but no, not only does he disintegrate, he turns into the child version of himself. Now, there has been a bunch of speculation that it's just Rennie's hallucination of child Jason, which she has had for a lot of this film. And, oh yeah, another thing about the continuity, Jason keeps getting deformed each time Rennie sees him, just more and more deformed. Jason was always deformed. In the beginning of the movie, he looks like a completely normal kid. That is not what Jason looked like. If you've seen the original, that is not what Jason looked like as a kid. He was deformed. Okay, he had deformities in his face. He did not look like a normal kid. He was deformed. And the movie just seems to get that completely incorrect. But yeah, there's speculation that it's just a vision that Rennie is seeing of child Jason, but I'm pretty sure Sean can see this kid as well. It's so dumb and it just makes me mad. The original one, the deleted version of this scene, is even dumber in the script and in the deleted scenes. In the deleted scenes, child Jason was going to come out of regular Jason's mouth. I don't know why they shot that. And in the script, the camera was going to go into Jason's mouth, down to his intestines, and there was going to be a well there, and child Jason was going to be there. Because that was a good idea, I guess. No, it wasn't. The ending is stupid in every single version. Next, I'm just going to say this outright and simply. None of the characters in this movie are even remotely interesting. Until you read my novelization, where I actually make them just a tad bit more interesting and relatable and likable. Yeah, I'll let you know when I'm done with that. And finally, going back to Jason. Kane Hodder is great, I'll give him that. He's great as always, but the makeup and the design of Jason is terrible. He looks so bad. Compared to Part 7, like, how do you go from this to this? Just how do you do that? And like, the machete wound to the eye is literally on the wrong side of his face. I don't know. It sucks. Just moving on. So overall, Jason Takes a Cruise is not very good at all. I mean, it's fine, I guess, but it's just really boring from start to finish. Yeah, another negative. It's boring. The 1 hour and 40-minute runtime does not help this at all. The acting is terrible. Most of the kills suck. It makes no sense when it comes to the continuity. Jason looks like a joke, even though Kane Hodder has his moments where he does make Jason pretty intimidating. When that mask comes off, he looks like an absolute joke. And just overall, I don't really like this movie that much. It's just fine, I guess. If you absolutely desperately want to see it, by any means, go for it. Go for it if you want to. I'm not going to recommend it. It's a really lackluster film in the franchise. I'm not going to recommend it. If you love this movie, that is perfectly fine. If you even like it, that's fine. But if you're with me and you don't like this movie, good on you for that. I respect anyone's opinion on this movie, but yeah, I'm not really going to recommend it. So I'm going to give Friday the 13th Part 8, Jason Takes a Cruise Ship to Manhattan, a D+. So what do you guys think of Friday the 13th Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan? What do you think of it? Let me know in the comments below. Do you like this movie? Do you love this movie? Do you hate this movie? Or do you think it's just okay? Let me know. We can debate about it in the replies. So, next week. Oh, I'm looking forward to this one. Be looking forward to my review of Jason Goes to Hell, the very not Final Friday. The Final Friday. Be looking forward to that, and be looking forward to any future reviews on my channel. If you like this video, be sure to hit that like button and click the subscribe button and switch your notifications to all. That way you'll get all notifications for my further content, because YouTube sometimes doesn't notify people. I don't know why. YouTube's broken, I guess. But yes, do that and you'll get notifications for all my future videos. So anyways, guys, I guess that's pretty much it. So anyways, I'm Madeline. This is Adeline's Horror World, of course. You guys already know that. I love all you guys to death. And until next time,